Hello everyone and welcome to episode 383 of 5 Star Potential, your weekly Football Manager podcast. I'm your host Doop, and joining me as always are the gruesome twosome, the Kim and Aggie, the Ant and Deck. It's Dave and Matt. How are you doing today, gents?
Very good, thank you.
I mixed it up a little bit.
Who is Aggie, Maggie, Kim, who? Who are they?
Come on, Matt. The old women that used to do the
reference.
cleaning. Huh?
Clean
No
up, mate.
reference.
That's what me and Matt do on nights out. We clean up, mate.
You clean up
I've
the
seen it
gutter.
first hand with Mad.
And Mad, well, to be fair, mate, Rainbow Club has not had a take-in like that since you two have been there. I will say,
not to speak.
That's probably the best way. As we teased last week, today we'll be talking about our 5-star bottom at Christmas challenge. And I will just add a little bit in here as well. In stream, we've had a few people coming in and telling me how they're getting on. And I've kind of kept it under wraps how I've got on. So we will be revealing all very shortly. We'll also be teasing another challenge, which you guys will once again be able to get involved in. And I don't think you two actually know it fully, do you? So I'm looking forward to it. I've got a new surprise for you, a little Christmas present, let's say. But before we kick it all off, lads, come on. How are things? Any updates in your main save, Dave, Mad?
I've not, since the Penty is
You were
complete.
tired. You hung up your boots.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of time to recharge the batteries. I'm still toying with the idea of maybe doing a save on the side, but I think obviously I spent the last week or so just finishing off this challenge, got the next challenge as well, so that should take me close up to Christmas. So I might start something over Christmas. The one save, I think it's more of a long-term save. I saw recently in the news, maybe a couple of weeks ago, that I think it's Hearts have partnered up, or a new affiliate of Brighton or something like that. So basically taking on all their scouting technology and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that'd be quite an interesting one. Like I can't remember the last time I managed in Scotland. So that was quite an intriguing one, but I think it would take me some time to topple like Celtic and Rangers and stuff. So that might be something for FM25, because I'd hope that maybe it's in place a little bit more. So I'm just going to think of something else, maybe just a little challenge, but maybe with a stronger team, just so I can sort of compete a little bit more from the off, just because it's only going to be maybe a couple of seasons.
If you want a stronger team, I'd recommend not going to Scotland.
Yeah, no, exactly. but you know, I don't know if you. I think FM25 now will come round quicker than we realise once Christmas is done. I think the beta won't be far away then. So other than that, yeah, just add a little bit of downtime.
Exclusive?
Is it?
I don't know. I got no idea.
When did they say the release date was? Like mid-Feb or something?
I obviously wasn't on that email.
Oh, March. Well, yeah, the beta is probably going to be out mid-Feb then, isn't it? So by the time Christmas is done, it's not going to be far away, is it? So
absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Mad? How's Deportivo?
I've not done a whole lot of Deportivo, so I was also doing the old bottom at Christmas challenge, which I managed to complete, which is helpful for the podcast. And then I've been scrambling.
We'll talk about it later. I'm guessing sacked, so we'll go.
We'll never know. Well, we will in the next half an hour. I've been scrambling to get some college assignments done because I'm going to Newcastle in the morning. I've got tickets for the Leicester City game. So that's on Saturday, 3:00 kickoff. So a weekend in Newcastle is always a good one.
What's the invite?
So looking forward to it, yeah.
You're not far away
from... to not spending the weekend with you.
Literally the other side of the country.
Blackpool.
It's the other side of the country. It's up north, but it's the other side of the...
Yeah, closer than you normally are.
I don't know. We're
probably
pretty
be quicker
close
to fly to Ireland, to be fair.
I was going to say, it's going to take me like 9 hours driving up to Blackpool.
Be faster to swim over to Ireland, I think.
But we'll touch base. We probably actually won't touch base on our saves next week, as it is going to be our Christmas release. Not sure what we're going to do yet. So if you've got any ideas what you want to see us do for Christmas, I reckon we get Mad dressed up. What should we dress him up as?
I can dress down.
Oh.
There you go. There's your exclusive.
It's like being in the room with your missus again. Okay, so let's move swiftly on. I will just say Deportivo Alaves is still going on, even though we thought we might get sacked. So I might give you a little bit of an interest for when we talk about it next time. So let's jump into our bottom at Christmas challenge. We've never really done anything like this before on the podcast. And it's really interesting to compare a number of things such as tactics, transfers, our results, and maybe, even see if all three of us managed to keep it up without using a pill like last time, Matt. As we teased, the challenge would see us take charge of a team bottom of the Premier League at Christmas, which was Crystal Palace. It wasn't just Crystal Palace. It was a very, very bad Crystal Palace. So what I will do before we go any further, if you have done this challenge, please send us screenshots. Let us know over at 5-Star Potential on Twitter, on YouTube, anywhere. Even just message one of us three. Anyone that you can find. Just message Mad at Mad FM on Twitter as well.
Underscore.
And God, no wonder Nerd left. Anyway, talking to you, let's talk about our systems. Mad, how did you set your little Palace side up?
So because I've been obviously stuck into the Deportivo save for so long, I grew quite fond of a 4-3-3 tactic I'd been using at Deportivo, which has a Carrilero so you have a DM obviously in the middle, and then a Carrilero in front of it, where I was looking at Adam Wharton being quite similar to the player I was using in Deportivo, which was Luca Lipani. And then I was thinking, Eze as that centre midfielder on attack, we might get something nice out of him. However, the squad doesn't really play ball when it comes to a 4-3-3 tactic. Why? Because there is a massive shortage of any kind of wide players, wingers, or pace. Bar Ismail Assar, there's not really anyone else to play on the right or the left that's actually good enough to play out there and make an impact. So I was kind of torn between, and I think you went with no, not enough wingers, so I won't use them kind of approach.
Spoilers.
But I wanted to keep the tactic I was using, so I did dabble in the transfer market, which we'll come to. So I went with a 4-3-3, and I think the biggest question mark for me was who to play up front. You've got Mateta there, and you've got Eddie Nketiah. In my tactic that I basically carried over from Deportivo, I was playing Cameron Archer as a deep lying forward, and when I changed him from an advanced forward to a deep lying forward, he banged in that season. We finished third. Like, he got 24 goals in the league as a DLF. So I wasn't really sure if it would suit either of them. So I ended up basically kind of rotating between the two for large parts of the season. And that was more because of ratings and just poor performance. But it's probably on the manager, to be fair. So yeah, 4-3-3. But some additions to the squad, which I'll come to.
Yeah, so the answer was 4-3-3. Brilliant. Dave, what about you?
You're
As you set up?
I am.
Okay, sorry, Dave. Can I just say, right? In stream this week, I have been told off for not being horrible enough to Mad, by the way. Apparently, I'm being
we've gone
too nice
full
to you now.
circle here now. People used to defend my honor and used to say, "Why is Doop so mean to Mad?" And now people are saying he's being too nice to me.
So I just thought I'd bring that up.
All right, be aware, the Mad. I went a little bit boring, to be honest, with the tactic on this one. I thought I'd play it very, very safe for our first challenge, and I went with the 4-4-2 that I've been using on the Penty. So I really didn't experiment a lot. As you lot have already alluded to, I had to do quite a little bit of work in the transfer market, which I'll talk about to make it work. But looking to our next challenge, I think whatever the situation is, I want to try and make a Christmas tree formation work. So just bear that in mind for the next one.
You might not be able to do that.
Oh. Why?
You might not be able to do that, David. We'll get to that very shortly.
Director Football Challenge.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Simple. Sticking to what you know. Talking of sticking to what you know.
A bit boring, but we move.
Yeah, no, talking of that, I did very similar. I looked at it. I don't like wingers, as Miles knows. My dad used to be one. I don't even know where that come from, by the way, but that was so funny. Mental. So I played a flat back three. The one thing I did think we had was very good wing backs. I actually liked Tariq Mitchell a lot.
He's good.
I thought he was a very good player. And yeah, he's done very well. I also used Nathaniel Klein. No, I didn't. Of course I didn't. Why are we? I didn't even know he was still a thing, by the way. I actually moved Chris Richards out wide and used him as a right-sided wing back. Yes, he cannot cross to save his life, but he's very physical. He's very quick. And basically just had him on defend and had Mitchell on attack. I played two DMs, a ball-winning midfielder support and a DM support, and just so that was along a flat four as well. So I had my kind of 7 defenders, including the goalkeeper, or 8 defenders, including the goalkeeper. And then I had a front three of a midfielder on AM attack, and 2 advanced forwards attack. Obviously, if you know me at all, you know my love for Eddie Nketiah, so I was always going to build the game around him and see what I can get out of him. I actually used Eze as that attack midfielder on support. And I'll be honest with you, I wanted to use Mateta as much as I could. And unfortunately, he got injured and we spent some time without him. So we had Ismail Assar play as a striker. And we'll get to it later. But we also had Chimba Eze play as a striker as well in a certain game. And we'll get to that one later, nice. Which is, if you didn't know, that's Eze's brother. Just putting it out there. Okay, so that's kind of how we all set up. All very different as well. That was not planned, which is quite nice, actually, because it would have been a bit shit if we all just went boring 4-4-2, like Dave Bassett and Dave as a party. So we did also mention about how little money we did have in the transfer window. Some got a little bit luckier than others. So, David, talk to me how you spent your mother's cash.
Well, I sort of said last week, I know basically the club didn't have a pot to piss in. So we got, you're talking tens, if not hundreds of thousands to begin with. So you couldn't really strengthen the squad. For context, at the end of the season here, Palace are in minus 45 million in the bank on my save. Like they're just muddied. Doop screwing his face. I don't know if his Palace team are as bad or if I've just bankrupt them. I don't know. I got given, I'm sure it was about 19 million to play with, which was a very good amount of money. And I thought, well, I don't know, but I don't think it was that much unless I paid out a few clauses because I only signed 2 players, which amounted to just over 12 million. So the first one, I don't think I sold anyone. Yeah, I didn't sell anyone of note out of the first team. The first one, basically, I needed a right midfielder because the right midfielders, I think I had Sarr, who was injured, Ismail Sarr, who was injured. No one else could really play there, so I needed a right midfielder quite urgently. So I signed Edin Viska, who's a little bit older. He's a Bosnian guy, 34, 35 years of age, but he's actually a really good. Physically, obviously not quite there anymore, but he's playing for Trabzonspor over in Turkey. His contract was coming to an end. So I offered him a deal which he accepted on about 24 grand a week, and I ended up being able to buy him early for 350k. But in terms of like current ability, potential ability, if you want to use that, it's 2.5 stars. So for a squad player, it's not awful, pretty affordable wage, but really decent attributes. Like, you know, for a proper winger, you got 17 crossing, 16 off the ball as his main ones, really. Just a really quality player all throughout. And then later on in the window, I still wanted to buy another right midfielder as well. And I was looking at a couple of options, really. But I ended up signing Dennis Mann from Parma. So I managed to get him for 9.5 million, rising up to about 11.5 million. His record for me, which we'll talk about later on, it was actually pretty good. But a really decent signing, quite versatile, could play on the left-hand side as well, which suited my tactic. So in terms of transfers, they were the 2 main ones. I didn't sell anybody. I know Mad sort of alluded to him doing that last week, but I didn't sell anyone. I didn't really actively look to sell. There was a few rumours of like Mark Gay going to Saudi and stuff like that. And I could have easily cashed in. And in hindsight, I probably should have cashed in to help bolster the team a little bit more. But it was although I got quite lucky with the money coming in, it was a fairly straightforward and fairly quiet January transfer window for me, to be fair.
Okay, awesome. Mad, how did you fare?
I didn't have as much luck as Dave when it came to the asking the board for money. I did ask them for some more money, and I was the same, Dave. It was all in the red, so I only actually requested because you said you got some. The notification came back saying, "We are pleased to approve your request," and they gave me 195k. So there's not a whole lot that a Premier League club can do with 195k in the transfer budget. So what happened? As I came in to kick off January, and we'll talk about the games in a minute, but as I said, shortage of wingers. I had Mateta gone with the flu. I think Gay was out for a while. Somebody else went out with basically COVID as well. And then Afghan kicked in. So originally in the first game, I put Nketiah as one of the wide forward positions, Ismail Assar on the other side and Mateta up top. And then suddenly, obviously, half the players were gone for Afghan. So that was a disaster. So I went hell for leather and said, right, this squad isn't good enough the way it is. We're going to tank in January with everyone missing through injury and Afghan. So I had a look what players could be sold. So I'm just having a look at the tactic now. I was happy enough to play Chick Decore as the DM. That left me with a 31-year-old Jefferson Lerma. So I offered him for sale. I did something a bit controversial. Probably I wouldn't have done it only for knowing this was a 6-month save. But Mateus Franca, the Brazilian guy, I was kind of looking at him thinking he's probably not going to play. And the reason he wasn't going to play, I did sign a player on a free transfer early on in January. That was Yusuf Yazici. He's Turkish midfielder. He used to play for Lille. He was playing for Lille when they won the league that time. And you know, he's actually quite good in attributes wise in game. Same story, like he's only 28. His physicals aren't great, but flair 17, leadership 16, technique 16, first touch 17, passing 14. Loads of like good high double figures where you want them. So when I get him in as a free, his value went up to like 27 million. So I basically offered out Lerma and Franca, and nothing really happened for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then Fulham and Everton came in for Lerma. I ended up negotiating Fulham to 26 million. My game's probably still in euros, I've just realised, guys. But let's call it 20 million pounds, whatever you want to, whatever's closest.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, man.
No, true that. I'm still in euros because of the Deportivo. And then I got another bid in for Franca. And he, I think it's Bournemouth. Brentford. I ended up selling him for 18 million to Brentford. So between the two, it was like 26 million and 18 million. So we had whatever that adds up to, 30 to 40 million odd to spend. And we had about 5 days left in the window by this point. So I just went for it. Got Ryan Cherky in for 20 million in total. And we got Dan James in for 18 million. And that was kind of 9 upfront and 9 in installments. So they were the 3 players assigned, basically. Ryan Cherky to play on one wing. Dan James, basically, you can see what I'm doing here is going for pace on either side. And Ryan Cherky is really good. He can obviously play up front too. And then, I had Yazici there to kind of tap in for Eze as that CM on attack. Because quite often I had to move Eze around. He's played on the right, he played on the left, he played up top, like you said there, Doop, as well, but his brother. I'm glad I made the transfers. The money came in. The players I sold, we managed without them. And they did make a difference, which I'm sure I'll come to shortly.
Fantastic. Well, mine's going to be nice and easy. I had £675,000 to spend. And this will shock you all. I didn't spend a penny.
Ooh.
I didn't buy anyone. I didn't get anyone in on free. I didn't get anyone in on loan. I didn't get rid of anyone. I just kept the squad as it. Actually, I lie. I got rid of Noah Watson, who's in Mad's game. Looks very strange compared to my game. He went to Crawley for 12 grand. So, that helps massively. But yeah, I did ask the board. They gave me an increase from 100 to 600. And that was it. So I just went, do you know what? Nah, screw it. And I stuck with the team that I got, So
Dave, he's probably done better. He's probably done better than both of us by not signing a single
This is interesting because, Mad spent a lot and changed a few, probably the most space that most team members. Dave didn't spend so much, and I did nothing. So a little bit of a Goldilocks thing going on at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably 3 points to me, 2 points to Dave, and a point to Mad, if you ask me.
Depends on the position, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I always finish well on top. So let's discuss our results. David, how did you kick off the season? Obviously, we only had one game in December.
Yeah.
So we won't kind of go too slow, but let's have a little chat for it.
Yeah, I mean, I started off awfully, and I think I was really worried that this was going to set the tone. So first game was away at Newcastle on the 30th of December, and I lost 4-0.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, 1-0 down at half time, then conceded 3 goals. I did have a red card in the second half as well. So yeah, absolute disaster of a performance for me. So I don't know how you boys got against Newcastle because I started awfully.
Wowza.
We got lucky. We beat Newcastle 1-0 in the 79th minute. Ismailis Sarr scored the winner, and we managed to keep a clean sheet. Dean Henderson with an 8.4 in the first game. That's all you need to know.
6.0 for me, Dean Henderson.
Dean Henderson
got him again after that.
He got a 7.6 for me in the first game. Matt, I see your 1-0 and I raise you 2-0. And I see your 70th minute to an 88th minute goal by Ismail Assar and a 91st minute goal by Mateta to win 2-0
Nice.
against
Such a
50,000
Newcastle thing to happen as well.
Geordie.
Fucking hell.
50,000 Geordies. And we had an XG at the end of, I think it was like 0.6 or something.
It's proper smash and grab.
So
Shit, how's it are you?
we all moved into January. We had obviously FA Cup introductions as well. I had more games than everybody in January, and we'll get to that in a second as Dave pulls a funny little face at me. We started at home to Ipswich. Mad thought I actually signed George Hurst here, but I actually battered Ipswich 4-1. Eddie Nketiah getting a brace, and Eze getting a goal. That was the goal I was talking about. Tim Eze actually got a goal and an assist in this game and got man of the match. He's like worth like 200 quid, which is mental. I'm going to fire through. I battered Preston 3-0 in the FA Cup. We got draws against Villa and a loss against Brighton. But I also played Forest Green and Biggleswade Town as friendlies. Because you know me. Right, mate. I got to get my system in there. We had 2 weeks of no games in January. I don't know if you know that. Between January the 13th to January the 27th. 2 weeks. So I scheduled 2 friendlies in. We beat them 3-0 and 6-0. Just confidence, cohesion, working together.
I thought it was going to be for money as well. You needed fucking money, so you played Biggleswade Town, mate.
We played them both at home, so we did actually earn 300 grand from each of those games. And we then played Chelsea in the 4th round of the FA Cup, and that is where Chelsea's time in the cup went to an end as Eddie Nketiah got a brace, and Will Hughes got a goal, which made us go 2-0 up. I know I just said Eddie Nketiah got a brace, but his second goal made it go 3-1 as Dewsbury Hall got a goal. And to be fair, I say Dewsbury Hall, Chelsea did have a good team out. They had Caicedo, Fernandes, Cole Palmer. Yes, okay, they had Mudryk, but that's their own fault. They signed him. And that's how my January went. All good, apart from that last game against Brighton.
Yeah. I had an immaculate Jan as well, to be fair. Ooh. I beat Ipswich 4-2. All 6 goals in the game came in the first half, actually. Francis scored twice, Will Hughes, and then Kamada scored from the penalty spot. Then beat Preston 2-0. I had a really ropey team for this, though, because it was only 3 days after the Ipswich game. And I had no right midfielders. This was before I signed the 2 lads. So there was a lad in the reserves called David Obu. He's all right. Like, he's definitely not Premier League standard, but he's all right, to be fair. And yeah, it was 0-0 for the entirety of the game. I ended up having to bring some of the big boys on because I'd benched Eze and Nketiah. And Eze scored in the 87th minute. And then Obu scored another goal just to wrap it up in the 91st minute. We then beat Villa 2-0. Eze and Francis scoring again. Then it had West Brom away in the 4th round of the FA Cup. We beat them 3-2. We were 3-0
as well.
And then we had a little bit of a scare. Jed Wallace scored twice. And then we ended off with a win against Brighton as well, beating 2-0, Eddie Nketiah and Will Hughes on the score sheet again. So yeah, really good, positive first full month for me, really.
Super. And what about you, Matt?
You're about to find out why I went to such an effort to bring in a load of players.
Right, okay.
So I mentioned we beat Newcastle 1-0. We then beat Ipswich 1-0, an Eze penalty. It's quite slow. It was a win's a win. By the 6th of January, when we were playing Preston in the FA Cup, AFCON had kicked in and I was missing like a bunch of players and injury. As I mentioned, like there was players gone with the flu. There was all kinds of shit and I hadn't signed anyone new. We lost 2-0 to Preston, but I did rotate. I did bring in a few randomers to see what they looked like. And I also was kind of like, I don't mind if we don't play in the FA Cup because this is the bottom of Christmas challenge and I just need to stay up.
Though, right?
I didn't know there was points for the FA Cup.
Well, there's not, but there is now.
And then we went and played Villa away and we lost 2-1.
Holy fuck.
The pretty standard game. They scored, we scored, and they scored again, and that was it. Just lost 2-1. And then we played Brighton, and it's a very similar story. We lost 2-1. So tight enough games, like not much in it in terms of possession and XG, but ultimately in January, I beat Ipswich and then lost 3 in a row. So hence why we made that dash for Ryan Cherky and a randomly signed deadline day move for Dan James.
So hang on. You come into the club, you took over at bottom of Christmas, you've come in the club and you've made them worse.
Yes.
They're in a worse position. Okay. And you got Dan James. Okay, awesome. Right, let's
So
mix it up as a party. Talk to me about February. We actually play your team in February.
Yeah, it was a little bit more of a patchy Feb, to be fair, because obviously we won 3 on the bounce in the league and then 5 on the bounce if you include the FA Cup. So I thought, okay, here we go. We played West Ham at home. Unfortunately, lost that 2-1. I went 2-0 down, got a consolation goal towards the end. We then played Wolves away at Molineux, and I beat him 4-0, actually.
Wow.
Played really, really well.
Shit team.
Kamada scored from all goals in the second half. Kamada scored from the penalty spot, then made it 2-0 as well. Mateta scored, and then Decore at the end, and then Wolves got a red card in stoppage time. We then lost 2 on the bounce. We lost to Everton 2-1. Went behind early, got an equaliser just after half time, and then Calvert-Lewin scored the winner. Then lost to Bournemouth 2-1. Went 1-0 up. Visca, the new signing, scored from the spot, and then Tyler Adams and Evan Ilson scored. Then we got back to winning ways. We beat Southampton 2-1. França scoring twice. And then we had the FA Cup where we played Tottenham. This was a mad game. So went 1-0 down, 2-1 up, back to 2-2, went 3-2 up. And then they scored in the 78th minute to take it to extra time. And then they scored 2 goals really late in extra time. So we lost 5-3 in the end. So really frustrating result because especially when you go to extra time, you want to at least win it. But to lose it and have all your players absolutely knackered when you play Arsenal a couple of days later isn't ideal. So, yeah, we weren't great against Spurs, but we certainly took our chances. But just a bit annoying because if we knocked them out, obviously it would have been nice to carry on our FA Cup run. But yeah, just the 2 wins out of the 5 league games in Feb, so it wasn't an ideal month to be completely honest.
So, quick question: when was Tottenham's first goal? How long? Like, I want to try and work out. We might need to work out who was in the FA Cup the longest.
Oh, okay.
So when was their first goal? Like their winning goal.
The winning goal, 117th minute.
Okay, all right, we'll get to that shortly. Mad. Obviously, you had 1 less game than us too, so you had a bit of time to rest your players. How did you get on against these?
Yeah, it was strategic. I wanted to be out of the FA Cup. I told you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We played West Ham at the start of the month. We beat them 3-1. Ryan Cherky scoring on his debut, which was always nice to see, as well as Eze and Adam Wharton. Then it got a bit dodgy. We played, as you said, Wolves and Everton away, back-to-back 2 away games. I lost 2-1 to Wolves and I lost 2-0 to Everton. Now, again, with some new players, with lads come back from AFCON, it was all a bit all over the place. But keep the faith here. But I remember around this time we were kind of like 18th, 19th again, and I was like, oh, fuck, Doop is going to love this. I was dreading the pod. Then we played Bournemouth at home. We actually beat them 1-0. And then this is where things are starting to gel. We go to play Southampton at home. We beat them 5-1. Daniel James off the mark already for his new club. Love to see it. Eze scored. Cherky got another one. Lacroix again. He's actually quite a beast as well on the old corners. Maxence Lacroix, good player. So finished off that month with a 5-1, and that was the start of better things to come. I'll just tell you that much.
Awesome. Well, I actually had back-to-back losses. Obviously lost to Brighton, like I said, in January. We actually lost to West Ham 4-1 at home. And I wasn't happy with that at all. So I did actually do a little tactical tweak on the 3rd of February. And my centre-backs, my 2 external centre-backs, I would say the ones on the outside, I turned to no-nonsense centre-backs just to try and help us out a little bit more defensively. We've conceded basically a goal in every game so far that we've played, apart from the first one, and Newcastle battered us. So I thought, let's try that to see what that happens. We then turned around to Wolves after we had a friendly in between, and we beat Wolves 3-1. And the most disappointing bit about this is that Sarabia scored in the 92nd minute. And I was
my God.
Tactical genius. Like, it's worked how I wanted it to. Eze got a goal, but Nketiah got another brace. And to be fair, Nketiah's second was in the 93rd minute. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of what I'm going to tell you in this update throughout the season, late goals is a massive thing in this. We had Fergie time on our side at some of these games. We then played Everton, and we beat them 2-1. Eddie Nketiah with a brace. And Calvert-Lewin got a goal. Annoying, right? One of such a bad defensive fuck up, and it just absolutely annoyed me. And then it gelled. We've just won 2 games, but then it gelled. We played Bournemouth at home, 2-0. We didn't concede a goal. Beautiful. Well happy. Adam Warburton got a goal in the Warburton. He's not a bread maker, but he's a bread winner because he scored in the 94th minute to make that 2-0. And then we beat Southampton 4-0 and very confident. We had a bit of an easier fifth round tie, Dave. We actually had Bournemouth in after we just beat them 2-0 at home. We played them at home in the FA Cup. Alex Scott opened the scoring on the 33rd minute. My favourite player of this save so far, Tariq Mitchell, got injured and went off. And then we had to shuffle a bit around. We didn't really have... I think this is kind of where Chris Richards going out on the right-hand side became a thing. And we didn't have a backup centre-back or a backup right-back on the pitch. So we had to move things around. Mateta scored in the 38th minute. And then it just dragged. And it was just end-to-end football, but like the quality up front was just terrible. It went to extra time. And this is where I asked. Because nobody scored and it went to penalties. So I technically, whatever happens now, lasted the longest in the FA Cup. We ended up winning the FA Cup anyway, so we'll get to that later. Winning the game. And we scored 5 out of 5. Bournemouth, so just massive spoiler, just let out. Bournemouth missed the third penalty Philip Billen missed. He had like the longest run-up ever. I don't know if you've seen the continuous run-up. Have you seen them? Yeah, he had that and skied it. And we got through. We got Man City at home in the quarterfinal. We played that in March, but we'll get to March shortly. Dave, talk to me about your March after the only top trump I've got, I've just spoiled.
Yeah, no, in terms of...
Because March is awful, by the way.
So yeah, I was about to say, so in March we play Arsenal, Chelsea, City and Leicester. So it's a really tough start to March. And like I said, just after that Spurs game and players have played 120 minutes, I thought, oh no. We actually absolutely smashed Arsenal. We beat them 5-2.
What?
I was 3-0 up. Eze scored really early on. Dennis Mann had got 2 for himself as well. Mateta scored and then another penalty, Kamada. We must have had a lot of penalties, but also Kamada missed at least 2 or 3 for me throughout the second half of the season. So Arsenal scored Terem Mofi, is it? I think scored 65th minute. He's a Nigerian striker they'd got. And then Gabriel scored in the 98th minute just as a consolation. But yeah, absolutely smashed Arsenal. So really happy with that. And then we went on to Chelsea away, where we lost 3-1. Unfortunately, 3-0 down for the majority of the game. They were 3-0 up at half time. And then we scored right at the death just as a consolation goal. City was a frustrating one. We lost 3-2. I went ahead twice. Kamada penalty. Haaland equalised. Mateta gave us a lead just after half time. And then a minute later, Kamada got sent off. And then we just fell apart. Ruben Diaz scored and Grealish scored. But thankfully, we got back to winning ways at the end of the month. We smashed Leicester away 3-0. Mateta with 2 and Dennis Mann with 1. So I think out of that month to win 2, it's probably not too bad, to be honest, because Leicester is the game you want to win, and any points from the other 3 would have been a bonus. So yeah, 6 points from that month isn't too bad at all.
All right, that's a result, mate. I would have took a 3-pointer. To be fair, Leicester away, I probably would have took 1 point in that week, in that month. Sorry, Matt, how did you get on? Because this is probably the one I was looking for. Actually, maybe April was pretty good as well. So go on, tell us how you got on.
Yeah, we started really, really well. Dave mentioned the 5-2 at Arsenal. I didn't top that, but we beat them 3-1.
Wow.
And it was just by far the best performance of the save, the challenge. They went 1-0 up in the first half, but just the second half, we absolutely smashed them. Yeah, Yusuf Yazici got off the mark, so that's the third new signing, scoring his first goal for the club, which is great. Eze again, and Mateta scored the third to wrap things up. We then got smashed 3-0 by Chelsea. They just blew us out of the water. Really shit performances. 6.1 for Dean Henderson, for example. And even Eze had a 6.3, and he'd probably been our best player all season. So that happens. And then this is where things got weird. I think I put this into the Discord as well as when it happened. At home, Crystal Palace 4, Man City 1.
Oh my God.
Just clicked. Ruben Diaz scores an own goal on 7 minutes. Eze puts us 2-0 up on 11 minutes. He scores again on 40. And then, so we're 3-0 up at halftime. Haaland got a penalty to make it 3-1. And then Mateta again, you're talking about late goals, made it 4-1, which was lovely to see. And then we came to playing Leicester away. This is where I nearly fucked the laptop out the window. We were 2-0 up away to Leicester. Eze and Sarah off the mark. 77 minutes, one of the first substitute scores, Casey McAteer. They then bring on a chap you might know, Facundo Buonanotte. I think he's on loan from Brighton. 88 minutes, he scores to make it 2-2. 90 plus 4, he scores again to make it 3-2. And I was absolutely raging, especially going 2-0 up as well. And Dave, you said something about missing penalties.
It's just gone out of the window. All that hard work.
Yes, you beat Arsenal 3-1 and beat City 4-1, and then we go and just lose in the dying embers to Leicester. But Dave, we also had a few missed penalties. Eze was the designated penalty taker, and whenever he wasn't on the field, because I was managing his minutes a little bit, whoever else, because I didn't think to set them all up quick enough, but everyone else missed penalties bar Eze.
Yeah.
I saw Yazici miss one, I saw Sar miss one, and I saw Mateta miss one in this short, 5-6 months of a bottom at Christmas challenge. So such is life.
Well, all I can say is you lot beat Arsenal. Guess how I got on against Arsenal? I lost 5-1. I lost 5-1. They went 2-0 up pretty early on. We got one back, and then Jefferson Lerma got sent off for a fucking absolute karate kick. You know those ones where you just sit back and just think, what the fuck have you just done? Yeah, so we lost 5-1 in the end. To be fair, as soon as we got to like the 70th of minute, Trossard scored, so we just chucked everyone forward to try and get just something out of the game, and it just never worked. I think we were all knackered from that Bournemouth game, to be fair. And then probably my least favourite result of the whole save, we lost to Chelsea away from home. 1-0 against Chelsea. Jadon Sancho scored. Don't like that bloke. And then we played Man City in the FA Cup quarter-final. And we absolutely played out of our skins. It was fantastic. It was awesome. Ketia made us go 1-0 up after 2 minutes. Like literal 2 minutes. I don't think I've even sat down in my dugout. And we were 2-0 up. Sorry, 1-0 up really early on. And you know when you get a goal and you think, actually, did we deserve that goal? Because instant, straight up the other end, Ruben Diaz gets a goal after 4 minutes. Then Erling Haaland makes it 2-1 after 47 minutes. Eze makes it 2-2 after 62 minutes. And I'm sat there on the 80th minute making a few subs and changes. And I'm sat there going, do we go for it? Do we sit with it? Or do we just stay how it is? You know, we're doing quite well. It's 2-2, 10 minutes to go at home. We're doing all right. Do we just let this run out, or do we go and try and win the game, or do we try and conserve the game? I decided to let it sit out, just carry on doing what we're doing. We're doing well. Kevin De Bruyne scores on the 84th minute after absolutely sending Mark Gay to the shops, and we lose in the FA Cup quarter-final. So I had you all there. You thought I won it. So we lost to City in the quarter-final, but we did well. We did the furthest in the FA Cup, so that's not too bad. We then played City 3 days later. Unfortunately, in the Premier League, very similar story. We went early up with Eze's goal. Then Rodri made it 2-1. 1-1. Then Ake made it 2-1. Eddie Nketiah in the 95th minute makes it 2-2. We pick up a point at home to Man City, so chuffed with that. And then Leicester. I honestly think the Premier League winners Leicester team turned up. Because Jamie Vardy made it 1-0 after 27 minutes and just battered us off the pitch. Literally battered us off the pitch. Tariq Mitchell made it 1-1 in the 92nd minute to salvage a point and give us a little bit of hope, a little bit of momentum leading into yet another tough month, which was April. I'm intrigued to see how you got on because I did quite well in April.
I'll go first here. And lads, I'm just going to... Small spoiler. I'm telling you about April. There's 7 games left in the season by this point, folks. Yeah. So we have 4 in April and 3 in May, not including any cups, although I think we're all out by this point. I didn't win a game for the rest of the season. I'm just throwing that out there.
Wow.
Now, it doesn't mean I lost them all, but I didn't win a game. I've got no green. Started off April, we got Liverpool at home. We lost 1-0. We were actually holding them quite well, and then Salah scored in the 70th minute, and it finished 1-0.
That's weird.
I was a bit disappointed by that because I thought we were doing all right. Then we played Tottenham away, bit of a shit show. We went 1-0 up. Then Yazici got himself sent off, and we lost 3-1. So that was very helpful. That's that new signing, brought in free. So that's 2 defeats in April. We then played Fulham at home. We went 1-0 down. Fucking Reece Nelson. But Dan James leveled it at 1-1, and that's how it finished. So another point on the board. And then we went away to Manchester United, who went 1-0 up on 51 minutes through Manuel Ugarte, because why wouldn't he be scoring? And Eddie Nketiah finally decided to do something for me because he had scored, 3 goals before this in total? Equalizer on 78. So another point on the board. So 2 defeats and 2 draws in the month of April. Shit your pants time at this point, I can tell you that much.
David? Any worse than that, if it's possible?
It's a tough month anyway. I mean, I didn't finish the season off brilliantly, which I'll talk about. But yeah, Liverpool, Spurs, Fulham and United is again another tough month. We actually beat Liverpool. I beat them at home 3-1. All goals coming in the second half. We won the up. Edin Visca scoring from the right midfield. Szoboszlai equalised for them with 15 minutes to go, and then a bit of late drama. 87th minute, Mateta scores, and then Adam Morton wrapped it up in the 93rd minute. Lost 3-0 to Spurs away. Just really poor performance. Maddison, Son and Brennan Johnson scoring. Fulham was a bit of a frustrating one because I would have earmarked this one as a winnable game, especially at home, but we lost 2-1. Carlos Vinicius had them 2-0 up at half-time. Eddie Nketiah managed to get a goal towards the end of the match, which obviously was just a consolation. And then United, we lost 4-2. Anthony put them 1-0 up. We equalised to make it 2-1. They were then 4-1 up. Anthony scored again. Rashford and Dalot scored, and then Nketiah again with just a consolation. So, poor month really. Win at the start against Liverpool, which was nice, but then 3 straight defeats was far from ideal.
Okay. I'm feeling a little bit confident now. We played Liverpool, and unfortunately Liverpool scored 2 goals. But luckily, we scored 4. Got you in the first half. Mo Salah scored in the 70th minute, which was what I said weird to Matt, because literally he scored against us. We went 1-0 up after 20 minutes. They equalised in the 51st. Mo Salah penalty, and it was never a penalty, by the way. It was typical Liverpool. Eze then made it 2-1, and we looked like we were holding on until Mo scored in the 70th minute to make it 2-2, and then a brace from Lerma in the last few minutes of the game to make it 4-2 was a nice, confident result. We went to Tottenham and got absolutely nailed and battered and bullied, but we come away with a 1-0 victory. Eddie Nketiah scored in the 63rd minute. Honestly, just him as an advanced forward next to a pressing forward or advanced forward, he's just absolutely killed it for me. He's been beautiful. Very similar, Dave, about how frustrating the Fulham game was. It was probably... it was one of the most frustrating games I had. We went 1-0 up, they equalised. We went 2-1 up, they equalised. And they just battered us and battered us and battered us. And luckily, Eddie Nketiah scored to make it 3-2 to us with a few minutes to go. And we managed to hold on. But Tariq Mitchell got injured yet again. He is a machine. Now, don't get me wrong. We are playing a lot of friendlies in between these fixtures, trying to get cohesion and trying to get things going. But I'm playing not always the first team, or like a couple of the subs that might have come on from the last game. I then put them into the friendly just to get their fitness up and all this jazz. I'm trying to do everything I can, but Tariq Mitchell seems to get injured every other game for me, and then be fit fine. But it'd be like 1 to 2 days, 3 to 2 days. I just don't think the guy liked training, so I think he limped off right at the end. He basically does a Saka, and then we finished the month off. Away from home at Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes opens the score in after 2 minutes. Scores again in the 17th minute. Luke Shaw scores in the 24th minute. We managed to get a goal back in the 57th minute by Mateta, thinking, okay, game on. Bruno Fernandes completes his hat-trick on the 67th minute. On the 74th, Will Hughes just plucks one out of nowhere, and we're not even pushing. I think I was writing a tweet or something. I can't remember what I was doing, but I wasn't even paying attention. I just saw the flash out of the corner of my eye, and I thought, surely not. So I paused it, tweaked a few systems. We kept the back three. I then basically put my wing backs. I put my 2 DMs, basically spun them round. So I had like a line of players up the middle. And then I decided, actually, no, take the middle one away, put a third one up top. So it's a bit more like my total Doop ball system. Basically went all out attack. Mateta scored on the 88th minute to make it 4-3 to Manchester United. And then they put 5 minutes up for added time. And to be fair, I was only playing key highlights on this, but it felt like I watched the whole 5 minutes. And it was basically Manchester United corner, header, hit the crossbar, cleared. But it would just not go anywhere. There was nobody to go to. Even though I had all these players up front, nobody to go to. And the clock ticked and the clock ticked. And for some reason, I don't know how and I don't know why, but the referee did not blow his whistle until the 98th minute was when he blew his whistle. Straight after, we scored an equaliser.
Okay, that must be 5 90-plus scores in this.
I told you, we were so lucky in the end. So Big Adam again, the breadwinner, scores in the 98th minute. And honest to God, I don't know if you know how small my office is, but I nearly flipped the fucking desk. I just was ecstatic to be literally 3-0 down, 4-1 down, and to get back to a 4-4 was truly wonderful. What I will do, though, is I'm going to jump straight into May and finish May off for you, because May was probably my shittest month. And it all comes spinning around onto me. We played Forest away at home, and that was quite annoying because Forest went 1-0 up. We made it 2-1 after 65 minutes. Chris Wood decides to pop up and score on the 90th minute and then score again on the 96th minute. And we lost that game 3-2. We then played Brentford. And again, very similar story. They went 2-0 up. We equalised in the 83rd minute to make it 2-2. And then they scored in the 86th minute to make it 3-2. And then we played Newcastle. And Newcastle went 3-0 up. We went 3-2 in the 80th minute. And I was thinking, hang on, it's going to do it. No. We're going to do it. We're going to push. No. We're going to push. We got 2 goals disallowed in extra time. And we lost that game 3-2. So we lost 3 on the bounce, all 3 games, 3-2. And all 3 games we should have won, in my opinion. And we would have been 9 points higher than when we finished. But we'll get to the finish points shortly. So, Mad, we kind of know how you got on in May, but very similar to me by the sounds of it.
Yes and no. So I wrote down a note here just for when we'd be talking about it in the pod. I had written down, with 3 games remaining, we were 3 points clear of the relegation zone at the time. So basically Southampton at the bottom on 30 points, Wolves on 32, then Bournemouth, Ipswich and Leicester all 33, and we're on 34 in 15th place. So literally we're 1 point clear of the relegation zone, and 4 points clear of the bottom, basically. So 3 games left. We drew with Nottingham Forest at home. Again, late goals. Danilo scored in the 80-something to equalise. We were 2-1 up, so it's really annoying. So more points dropped. The good thing is the other teams were dropping points as well. Like Dave, we've said this before, Wolves are just notoriously shit in FM24, and there's no way around it. So then we go away to Brentford, lads, and we got a lot to play for. We lost 4-1 to Brentford.
Shit.
Absolute meltdown here. I actually took a screenshot off the table.
Go on. I'm getting excited.
I took a screenshot of the table at this moment in time. So, sorry. Okay, let me rephrase what I told you. With 3 games remaining, I was 3 points clear of the relegation zone. Then the table I described to you a second ago, that was on 37 points because I have a screenshot of it. Sorry.
37 games.
So with 1 game left, as I've mentioned, Wolves, Bournemouth and Southampton are all in the bottom 3, but those teams are all on 33 points. Bournemouth, Ipswich and Leicester, and we're on 34. So I'm a point clear of 3 teams below me. They're all on 33. It's super tight. It's insane. So we're going into the last game, as you know, against Newcastle. And you've done this before, lads. I had the latest scores on one of the panels. I had the league table on the other, and I was like, I was more watching what was going on in the other games, which I kind of had no choice to do. We were 0-0 at half-time. And I do recall that 2 of the other 3 were losing. Leicester actually took the lead and they leapfrogged us in the table. But both Ipswich and Bournemouth are losing, which is good. Joe Linton scores on 64 and Isak scores on 77. which was annoying. And then, yeah, Leicester actually won their game. Ipswich, I think they drew. So we dropped to 16th. We lost the game. And we ended up finishing level on points with, who did I say? It was Leicester, I think. But they went ahead on goal difference because of that Isaac goal. So I'll just go. I might as well tell you the position now, I suppose, even though Doop, you kind of held on to yours, but we kind of know you're safe. I just stayed up. I'm looking at the final league table. Southampton on 30, Wolves 32, Bournemouth 33, Ipswich 33, and Palace 34.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
stayed up by one single point. Basically on the last day, even though the other teams kind of did us a favour. But we didn't know until the last day.
A heads up. 34 points would have got you relegated in my save.
Wow, so I'm lucky
You
as
are
fuck. Then
very lucky there. And I'm a little bit good, you never. But congratulations, Mad. Well done. Round of applause for Mad. He stayed up. That was the challenge.
Just. So 16th, apologies. 16th
was your final finish. Dave, I'm guessing by our breakdown, you are safe. But go on, tell us. How'd you get on?
Yeah, so it's interesting because you talk about those point tallies. The bottom... Well, let me go through my results and I'll talk about the point tally. So month of May, obviously, the 3 games. I beat Forest 3-2. Went 2-0 up. Ramon Sosa then scored a goal and Ketia then put us 3-1 up and Ramon Sosa scored a second for Forest to make it a bit interesting towards the end. Brentford away, I went 1-0 up. Dennis Mann scored, but unfortunately we lost 2-1, which is a little bit frustrating. And then Newcastle, again we went 1-0 up but ended up losing 3-1. So a little bit frustrating because it's such a good start in January. It was like immaculate form and all the other months really just grabbing 1 or 2 wins here and there. So my bottom 3, I stayed up, obviously, in the end. I stayed up in 16th with 37 points. So I was same position, really. My bottom 3, Forest went down on 25 points. Leicester with 26 points and Ipswich with 29. So in terms of points tallies, they're way below the save.
Way below my ones then. Sounds like they're a lot
What did you finish on?
I had 37 I finished on in the end.
And what positions are?
In 16th.
So you were close as well. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You would have been close in my save.
Yeah. So So I finished 8 points clear in the end.
Wow.
But like Everton, Wolves finished above me. Wolves finished 6 points ahead of me. There were a couple of games there where I think, look, if I sort of sat down and maybe spent a bit more time tweaking a few things, I could have probably won. So looking at the table, I could have easily finished like 12th or 13th. Yeah, you know. So, but no, I'm happy. Kept us up pretty comfortably in the end. So.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I held on to what I did, but I finished on 41 points in the end, which got me 13th. So I was 7 points clear. I was, which is less points than what you were clear, but finished, because the competition was mental. If I would have played better in those last 3 games, I would have got a Europa Conference League finish. Which is mental. We talk about having no money. They've now given me 80 million to spend if I wanted it, by the way. Big props and shout out to Eddie Nketiah, who got the bronze medal in the Golden Boot. He got 16 league goals for me, which is mental because the quality is high in our division, but yet the goals were not that high. Also, Wolves went down in mine. And Newcastle came 5th, Matt. So congratulations.
Who's the Wolves manager on yours, by the way?
The Wolves manager is Sergio Conceição.
Oh, yeah. He took the job on mine. I was wondering if that was just because I had him on my side, they did a little bit better. But
What was mental with me was Nuno left Nottingham Forest and went to West Ham.
Lions.
Yeah. A bit weird.
I had Iraola leave Bournemouth to go to West Ham, actually, similar enough. And Bournemouth hired Gattuso to replace him. So I'm sure that went
yeah, mental.
West Ham, I've got a guy called Kenny Brown on mine over that. He's a caretaker manager.
Fair play.
I've got a manager.
Okay, quick question. We'll round this off now, and then I'm going to introduce you to the new one. Yes, I won. Yeah, I won. I did the best in the FA Cup, did the best in the league. But I tell you what, it ain't that far off. Let's be honest. Like, we're talking.
Yeah, we're all fairly close.
Yeah, I mean, we took. Mad, you take the mick about the late goals. If you turn some of those late goals away, then we're, I got very lucky. My April, we did very well, and I kind of went into the final 3 games safe. And my concern was just being safe. And I think by the time the Forest game finished. I think the Manchester United game literally made me safe. I think I was like 10 points clear at that stage. And then we can obviously lost a load of games and they caught up a little bit. But yeah, so I don't think I really cared. I think the challenge for me was to stay up. I didn't know we had to finish as high as we had to finish. But yeah, first and foremost, who won the league in yours?
Arsenal.
Man City in mine.
Okay, Arsenal won in mine. And FA Cup. Who won the FA Cup? Did you check the FA Cup? Because I told you I won the FA Cup, but I didn't.
I've not had the final yet. It's Liverpool Newcastle.
Okay.
Yeah, same. I didn't keep going. Man United Everton in my final.
Okay, I've got
1995.
I've got a Manchester derby in mine.
Nice.
And to be fair, I've not gone any further. But funny. Okay, so anything else you want to add to that? Because I'm just about to introduce the new one now. I'm literally loading the new one up.
Never managing Palace again.
Yeah, interesting, but very tough. Very tough.
Yeah.
And obviously, people, if you're playing at home, we'll make sure if you send us how you got on.
It. We'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about it on the next couple of pods, probably.
Yeah, super. Yeah, absolutely. Because next week is our as we said, it's going to be our Christmas special. So we're going to give you a little bit longer on this one. This, I basically, both of you, your homework is going to be for our Monday, the 6th of January podcast. So this gives you all the way up till Christmas and over Christmas to do it. Okay, to do the save. So I want to paint a picture for you. It's not a long save. Okay, again, it's a less games in what you actually it might not be less games. Spoiler. It is the 1st of March. Arsenal are currently 1 point behind Manchester City in the Premier League in second position. Arsenal are also 2-1 up in their first leg of their Champions League round of 16, and they've just beat Newcastle in the 5th round of the FA Cup. And we don't know who their quarterfinalists are just yet. So the challenge I set to both of you, to myself and to the world and all the listeners, there you go, that's a bit dramatic, is I want you to go and be better than Arteta. And actually, Dave, I sent the file over.
I love that. Better than that.
And I didn't have to go to college for that. Sorry, man. And I have to send another file for you to upload because I've actually not taken over Arsenal just yet. Okay. I just sent you the idea. So you take over Arsenal. This is where we're going to introduce the points scoring, okay? When I say you take over Arsenal, your April looks as follows, by the way. Manchester United at home, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home, and Tottenham away. Followed by your first game in May is Manchester City at home. So you still have 5 massive games in there. You also have a FA Cup you're competing for and a Champions League. The main aim of the save is to win the treble. The secondary main aim of the save is to win the league or a cup. So let's see what you can win. So we're going to do some points. We are going to heavily score the Champions League. If you win the Champions League, I'm going to give you 5 points. If you win the league, I'm going to give you 3 points. If you win the FA Cup, I'm going to give you 1 point. Okay. So that's very heavy. If you win the Champions League, you do well. If you win a double, you're going to times that by 2, all your points. You win a treble, we're going to times it by 3. Simple as that. Okay. We can't do any transfers.
How many points do I get if I keep them up?
I think when you take over, Mad, you are categorically safe. Okay. You have no threat behind you. Liverpool are 9 points behind you, so they're not going to catch you. So you are fine. So your main focus is being better than Arteta, and you just have to win something, which is something that Arteta cannot do.
I'm intrigued to know if they've is this a world where kind of windows are off or whatever?
I was just about to get to that because I am going to put some other stipulations in as well. So transfers have continued. The first window was not available. However, the winter window was available to the AI managers. And Arsenal did do a little bit of business. And I'm very sorry to tell you, they didn't sell anyone, so you're fine. And they brought Ricardo Horta in from Sporting Braga, who is very versatile across the front three. He is quite an older chap. He's 30, which makes me sound like a dickhead because I'm 32 when I say that. But he's very creative. He's very, he's got high flair. He looks like a good little player. Looks pretty cool. So you have him. But Manchester City, on the other hand, have spent... Do you want to have a little guess?
150 million.
Close. Close. They spent 63 million on Pepe
From Porto.
from Porto, who is a 28-year-old Brazilian winger. Very versatile on the right-hand side. Very quick, very strong. He's only played 4 games for them at the moment, and they've all been in the Champions League, so he might not be massive for them. And they've had no major outs. So you'll be able to get into and have a little look through all of this. So the last stipulation, as Dave referenced earlier, he wants to play a certain way. I want to force you to play a certain way. As you have just signed another winger, and you have Saka and Martinelli, I want you to play with no wingers.
Well, I can do a Christmas tree then.
Hang on, David.
Okay.
Don't wreck it.
Right.
So I want you to play with a Christmas tree formation
Oh,
as it's over
you're actually going to do it?
Christmas.
Okay.
Yes, but somebody had to wreck it, didn't they?
I didn't know you're going to. Well, just great minds think alike. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe or not at all. So yes, your final restriction is it has to be a Christmas system. Does not matter on player roles, personnel. Does not matter on team instructions.
So it's got to be a 4-3-2-1 narrow then, basically. Yeah?
4-3-2-1. Okay. However you want to play that.
Okay.
The one thing I will say is it cannot be asymmetric. So you can't have them shifted to one side to incorporate
What
a
if
winger.
it's a wonky tree there?
It can't be a wonky tree. We only sell straight trees.
Shake it out.
Can you have 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs and then narrow it again?
No.
That's a fucking crazy tree, that is.
No.
Tree that looks
It's a
like
diamond,
this as I'm
mate.
doing on
It's a
screen if
diamond.
you're watching on YouTube.
So basically what will happen is the manager, when
Flat
you
back
take
four.
over, you will have a system that's in your tactics, in your slot 1 of your tactics. You can go off of that. Do not move the players from there, but just change the roles and personnel. I'm also want to put a hard ban on OP set pieces. Okay?
That's good because I don't know how to do.
And Arsenal are quite
Arsenal have got a
OP.
good set piece coach anyway, so we should be
Quite
saying.
good set pieces. But that is it. The link will be down in our podcast description over on YouTube, and also they will be over on the on a Twitter. I will also say this: as it's Christmas and we have a scoring, and we will be the judge of this because some impressive stuff. We'll give out a free copy of FM25 as well. To the winner that we decide. I will also state that may not be because they won the most, did the most, or whatever. It could be that somebody does get them relegated, for example. The only reason I say that is because some people are clearly going to cheat. Don't forget, we can see game statuses and we can see how many times you save and reload it. Just saying. And in-game editor is not active as well. So
Christmas tree custom Tilpa set. I'm
like Curry.
Oh my God, that's a throwback.
Okay, so yeah, I will give that to you, Dave, in a minute. You'll add that to everywhere you need to go. Love to see how you get on. I also, quite interestingly, I've really enjoyed this. I have quite a cool one for January if we want to carry this on.
yeah, definitely.
And potentially, whilst we wait for the new game to come out, it's giving people that, I've had so many people come into my stream and say, oh yeah, we started it. Can you send me the link or whatever? And when we're talking about it, I might even stream some of the Arsenal one. Depends if I get sacked or not. Okay. Well, GG to me. Second place to Dave. Third to Matt. So you two have got to step up.
Bronze medal, thank you. I'll take the bronze medal.
I think
Cheers.
it was all pretty close, to be fair.
No, I mean, mate, we were
But yeah, I
literally...
think you probably edged it in terms of not
Couple
spending
of
any
times.
money, getting it
Yeah.
a bit further in the FA Cup.
I actually think, all joking aside, I think not spending any money helped. The team cohesion, and obviously I was playing loads of friendlies, but the team cohesion was fine. Like we and that's why we started so well, and I think that just kept our morale boost and all that shit. So yeah, I think so. I think we're good. Right, Mad, be quick. I got a big drive tomorrow. 15-minute
do a quiz?
Yes, quickly. Come on, let's go.
Well, I mean, I was a bit lazy because I thought last week's quiz you seemed to enjoy it, lads, when we did the old Brazilian appearances in the Premier League.
So now it's Spanish.
I pulled
Let's say
another
it's Palace.
country out of obscurity.
Oh, that would
Nothing
be
to do
good.
with Palace, thankfully.
Oh.
This time it's the exact same question, but for German players in the Premier League era.
No, Swagger.
No, 10. There's 10 of them. Top 10. So I've got the top 10 appearances in the Premier League era by German players Off you go.
What?
Jens Lehmann.
Jens Lehmann is number 8 on the list, 148.
I'm going to get the top one. Robert Hoof.
Robert Huth is correct.
Yeah.
322 appearances. He is
Lehmann at
top of the
8.
list.
Yeah. Ozil.
So Mesut Ozil, 6th on the list, 184 appearances.
Thomas Hitzelsberger.
Thomas
Shout? That's a bit-
Hitzelsberger
no, he ain't
is
played
number
enough.
13 on the list, only 170.
Proper niche shout it.
Michael
That was
Ballack.
niche. Michael Ballack, number 16 on the list with 105.
Per Mertesacker.
Shout.
Per Mertesacker, 156 appearances puts him in 7th place, just ahead of Jens Lehmann.
Havertz won't be on there yet, will he?
Kai Havertz, 142 appearances puts him 9th on the list.
Oh,
Dave.
okay.
What about Didier
And
Hamann?
climbing.
Oh, man.
268 appearances puts him number 2 on the list.
What's the song that
Dietmar
it's out
Hamann.
when you say Didier Hamann? You know that dance like
Didier
that?
man.
Do, 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 do.
Did they ever use that as a thing? Was it They should have. Didier Hamann? That's quality. That should start, by the way. If I just made that up on the spot, that's fucking epic.
That is quality. Man.
Guinea baby.
That is amazing.
Didier Hamann? Okay, serious face now. Gundogan.
Yeah, sure.
Ilkay Gundogan, 202
That is
appearances, puts him
he's actually
4th on the
crying.
list.
If you want to see Mad cry, just watch
Sorry,
him
mate,
manage
I'm
Palace.
very tired as well. Ilkay Gundogan is number 4 on the list, 202 appearances.
Emre Can. I don't know if he would have played enough.
Emre Can is not in the top 10 because he's number 15 on the list.
Yeah.
115.
Sane didn't play enough, did he?
Who?
Leroy.
Sane is not in the top. He's number 20 on the list with 19.
I think United haven't really had many
No, we had
Germans. That's
Sebastian
why-
Schweinsteiger, that's it.
Yeah,
Arsenal have
he-
Podolski as well. That's the only... Oh, Bert Leno.
Yeah.
Bert Leno could be because he's at Fulham.
Leno's a shout.
So you're missing 3.
Mhm.
Sorry, 4. Bernd Leno is one of them, however. 190 appearances puts him in 5th place.
What's the bottom one that we've got?
We got number 10.
So the lowest that you got was Kai Havertz on 142. And there's one behind him, obviously.
Would
in 10th
Rudiger
place.
be
He's
below
ninth.
him? Because he didn't play much at
Rudiger,
Chelsea.
yeah, go Rudiger.
Antonio Rudiger, 133, does put him in 10th behind
Nice
Kai
shout,
Havertz.
that.
It's a good shout.
I'm just trying to work out where we'd be now.
So 2 left.
So I'm just double checking here now because I've not put them in a sheet where I normally mark them off.
Fantastic.
You have got you've got one left, who is the 3rd highest Premier League appearances for a German player in the Premier League.
Schürrle's not going to be there, is he? No, he didn't play enough. Not that much.
Andres Schürrle is not on the list. He's number
No.
24 on this big list.
I'm going to put a bold shower there because the only German I can think of at this moment in time, Jurgen Klinsmann. He didn't play enough, did he?
Jurgen Klinsmann
He wasn't
is
at the top
not in
for
the
long,
top
no.
10 or the top 20.
Yeah, okay. No, so I can just see him do the slide. You know, on Premiership
Great
years
slide.
where he does the slide on the
Mm.
start. That's all I could see.
In the old Holston Pills jersey.
Yeah,
Those were the
yeah.
days.
I'm trying to think.
So I
Is
can
there
tell
like
you-
a? Sorry, go on, Mad.
No, I'm just going to help you out. It is a player who recently left the Premier League, but is still playing.
Just not in the Premier League.
Just not in the Premier League.
Did he leave because he got sold, or did he leave because he got relegated? He didn't play for Mads
I
Palace,
believe
did
he
he?
left because he got so he didn't get left because of relegation anyway. I can tell you that much.
So who could
Gone
have?
to like MLS maybe or Saudi or something.
Not that I could.
No, and I would say he's not gone to what you might think is an inferior league necessarily. I mean, it's not like
Um,
I mean, that's obviously down
Said
to your
Rudiger.
opinion, right?
how's this? He went home.
The German. I'm guessing he's German, yeah.
Aye.
Hang on, we can get this, Dave. Come on, this is good.
Dortmund or Bayern or
Karius didn't play enough, did he? Because where's he gone?
No,
no, not Karius.
Karius.
He's at Newcastle now.
Is he?
no, he's gone again. Thank God.
That's why I said.
Although he's
Yeah.
linked with, apparently he's one of the keepers Bayern are looking at because they're having a bit of a
Ah.
keeper problem, which is fucking madness altogether.
Mhm.
So I can tell you he returned to the Bundesliga. He went for a fee of 7 million euros, according to Transfer Market, from a
Okay.
team in the Premier League who are still in the Premier League.
Still in the Premier League.
Made a lot of appearances for this team in the Premier League.
I guess so. Pascal Gross.
Yeah, Gross. Yeah.
Pascal Gross.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we got that at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm just going through the
Exact
teams.
same time.
I went Arsenal.
278.
Yeah,
The other one was
as soon as he said that, yeah.
The other one was the one at Brentford, and I can't think what his name was. I got stuck on that one for a little while.
You've got Vitaly Janelt, but he's down in number
He's
Danish,
12 on the
Yeah,
Oh,
list.
is he
maybe that
German?
was him. That may be
No, he's
who I
German.
thought.
There you go.
Okay.
That's your lot.
Well, I'll tell you this for nothing. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 383 of 5 Star Potential Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Hit a like if you're watching on YouTube, and put a comment to say how old Mad looks. You can find the links to each of us in the podcast description, or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content. If Mad plucks up the courage to ask Joe what the password is.
Again.
5 Star
Christmas is
Potential
coming
is
soon.
available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most of our popular podcast apps and platforms, with a brand new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Don't forget to download the new Save challenge and let us know how you got on in lot. And if any of you beat us, I mean, somebody out there probably won the league. Until next week, say goodbye, folks.
Ciao, ciao.
Goodbye, folks.
Auf Wiedersehen.